So now we have information on our PHP file. Just now we just need to insert the information to our database. For this we have to create a table to store the information. So we will create a table called Epin request, and we need an ID and the user ID, and we need another thing that is called number of Epin and date, and also another field to store the status. We need to add another column here, and it can be, we can call it status, and the status should be enumerated. Okay, say come from the top, and the ID will be integer and it will be auto incremented type, and it will also primary. Okay, it is now done. Now let's see here that the type and the user ID will be int type, and number of Epin also Epin or int, the date will be date, and status will be enumerated type. And for enumerated we can set few options for our cell. First of all, open and sent, and the third option cancel, or you can say closed, or another one cancelled, and just add it and set as defined status will open, so that whenever a Epin request will insert in this table, the status will be open by default. And it's done. And we need to save few static information as for starting point, like for ID it will be automatic, and the user ID will be null, the number of Epin can be as defined 0, the date will also null, and the status is also already we have defined. So just save the file, and we have created our Epin request table. Now we have to insert the information. For here, first of all, we will add the connection script from here. Just take it from here and just go one folder above, and now we need to set the if statement. If is set post number of Epin, then it will come to if statement, then store it in a variable called number of Epin also, then MySQL real escape string con, and the post number of Epin. Just echo it and let's see it is working or not. Just go to our file, just refresh the page. Okay, here we are. Just enter the 4. Okay, just come again at Epin request file. Now I entered 5 and just select a file, submit it. Okay, it is showing empty because it is not accessing the information. Why it is not accessing the information? Because it is here. Let's see it is working or not. It is coming inside the if condition or not. So you can print 1 and let's see it is working. Okay, it is printing 1, but it is not printing the number of Epin. MySQL real escape string. Here we have connection and then post, then number of Epin, then the bracket has closed, then it should come to here, but somehow it is not printing. Let's say number of Epin equal to number of Epin is equals to empty, because here inside this if statement it means it is exist, but it is not accessing this. It means okay, here we didn't add the connection file. We have to add the connection file here. We just add the checked login file. We also need to add the connection file here. So just add the connection file here. We are inside the Ajax folder. Just go one folder above, it is loading. Let's see, at least we are one folder above, then it should be PHP. It should come. I just need to reconnect with the server. Okay, now we are here. Where is the connection file exist? It is here, connect.php. So we are in above two folder above. So it is here, 2 folder above, then PHP includes, then connect.php file. Now hopefully it should work. Now as you can see, the number of Epin 5. If I change here, it is number of Epin 6. Okay, now it is working. We can move forward. We have number of Epin, and we need also a user ID. User ID already stored here, and what we need, okay, we can store it now. So also we need a receipt also. So first of all, we check if the receipt file actually exists. So first of all, if not empty, the file, if not empty, the file, and then the name for this file is, what is the name? It is called receipt file. So just paste it here, receipt file, and also the temp name. If it exists, it means user has selected the file. Now we can go forward and just insert the value to our database. So query is goes to MySQL query con insert into Epin request, and first of all we have ID will be auto increment, and first of all we have user ID, then number of Epin, then the date, and the status will be insert automatically as open. And now set the values for this, and the user ID is stored. Where the user ID is stored, we can access the user ID from, okay, how we stored our user ID. Let's see, go to our login page, just open. I stored the email ID, the user ID as the user ID, session user ID. So we have here email ID of the user. So we need the auto increment ID. So first of all, we take the auto increment ID of the user by the email ID. So we have stored the email ID and session. Okay, why not insert the ID also here, so that we don't need to access it again and again. So we can also insert the ID here, and we can say session, and the ID is, we can set it user ID, because user ID is already exist in our file. We can say the name of user underscore ID. Hope you will understand this. And we also need to access the ID. For this we can create a variable result is equals to MySQL fetch array, and the query is query, and now finally we have the id here, and that is result id, and the id is stored here. Just echo the id if it's working. The echo the id here. Okay, now to access the id, first of all we need to log out from our account. Just go to logout and open your account again. Okay, just it came to inside the user folder. Okay, just open the login.php file. Now open it again. Admin at mlm.com. Was it admin? Now it is done. We are at Epin request.php file, and where we go inside our Epin request Ajax. So to access the id, okay, you can just print it here. Let's see it is working or not. First of all we have to check. Okay, we also need to include the connection file also in our Epin request.php file. Now see it work or not. We have the id of our user, as you can see here. The auto increment id is 1. If I print the user id, it means it will show the email id of the user. As you can see, we have the email id here. Now we need only the user underscore id. So now we have our user id also. Just go to here and finally we will insert it here. So just store it in a variable called user underscore id, and just remove this also. Now we have user id. Just print it here, user id, and the second one, number of Epin. So we already stored the number of Epin here at the above, and the date should be now. Finally we have inserted the information to database. To check it is inserting or not, just come to here and enter the number of Epin. I require 5 Epin, and just upload the receipt. Also receipt is here. Now let's see it is working or not. Do we have any information in our database? We not, because it may be there few error, like echo MySQL error con. Okay, it is not showing any error. It means there is no error. Then it may be not coming to inside this condition. No file upload, no file found. Let's see what it says. It says no file found. It means this script is not working. Why it is not working? Like empty, we have checked. If not empty file, okay, it should be files, then it will work. Now let's see. Okay, it should work now. Okay, now we have inserted the number of Epin request inside our table. Now we also upload the image in our in our file system. So first, to store the image, we will create a folder for our image. So inside the user table, I will create a folder also to store the receipt. It is called receipt folder, and I just need to change my permission to run cloud, otherwise it will not working. Okay, now here I have receipt, and now I will insert the image inside this folder. So just come to here. Now I need to upload the file. So I will upload the file with the auto increment ID of our Epin request here. As you can see, we have auto increment ID of 1. We will use this ID. So to access this ID, I will say new ID new id is MySQL insert id. It is on MySQL insert id, I think, and MySQL insert id, that's it. It should work. Let's see it work or not. I just printed MySQL id. Okay, it is not working. MySQL insert id, it is working like this. Just pass the connection inside here. Now let's see. Okay, it is printing the auto increment id 3 because there is the number of 3 is the auto increment id for now. So now we have auto increment id also. Now finally we will upload the image. So to upload the image, we can say move uploaded file, and first of all files, and the file's name is receipt file, and we will use the temp name, the file, and the address of the file, and the address is we are inside the Ajax folder. So just go one folder above and receipt, and inside receipt we will create a new file with the id of the auto incremented, like the id was new id and dot png. So it will store the file as png. As you can see the code here, new id dot png, and now see it is working. If I click on submit, now it should upload the image because it is inserted the information here. Let's see, we have a file on our server. Okay, we have a file that is called 4.png with the auto increment id of our receipt. So finally we have inserted our Epin request successfully. So now we need to show the information to our user that it is successfully inserted. If the information will insert successfully, we will print here echo 1, otherwise we will print anything else. So if it print 1, it means it is inserted successfully. So we can come to here, if the data here, if the data equal to 1, if data equal to 1, we will come to here, otherwise we will show the error here. If we are here, it means alert Epin request sent successfully. Now if I click on, okay, I just need to refresh the page also because we updated here in something, and if I enter 6 number of Epin and the receipt file and click on submit, then as you can see Epin request sent successful is coming. Also we need to refresh the page, or we can reset the form. So we can reset the form also. To reset the form, I can use the id of the form. It is the, what is the id of the form? It is form Epin request. Form Epin request dot reset. It should work or not, I just forgot. Let's see, jQuery reset form. What it says, dot reset should enough to reset the form. Dot reset reset. Now let's see it's work or not, and just refresh the page, and this time I want 4 Epin and upload the image here, and if I click on this, it Epin request submit, and the form is not reset successfully. Okay, what is the answer? With the Stack Overflow, they said okay, trigger has to pass trigger function. So it is like this. Now let's see, refresh the page, and I want only 1 Epin this time. Okay, now form has reset successfully. So finally we have uploaded our Epin request to our database. In the next video we will create a history here so that user can see the status of their Epin request. Thank you for watching this video.